everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with bassist Jared Smith. Yay!
How you doing?
So today you guys are getting to see a Vancouver to Vancouver interview, and Jared's in Vancouver, BC, and I'm in Vancouver, Washington, and we couldn't be farther apart, but we are close thanks to the wonderful technology of Skype. So that said, Jared, how did you get started in music and on bass?
I've had piano lessons when I was really young, so I got into piano when I was young, and I don't know, it always really fascinated me, but I didn't practice piano that much. After a while, I kind of didn't really like it, and eventually found the guitar. I was about 14 when I picked up guitar and started guitar lessons, and then I was just obsessed with guitar from then on, and got into jazz bands in high school, and eventually the teachers kind of said you should, if you're serious about this, go to college, and did the college thing on guitar, and was teaching and doing the odd session thing and playing in metal bands on guitar for quite a while. And after a while with all that, kind of my metal band at the time fell apart, and I was subbing for Dean from Archspire at Long and McQuaid, the music store here. He was off on tour, and I was subbing for him, and it just kind of came up like, hey, you should play bass for us. And so I got into playing bass from that. I never really played bass. I taught a couple lessons on bass, but I never played bass before that. And so I tuned my guitar all in fourths, and I learned the bass parts with my fingers on a guitar. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, this is maybe okay. And then I kind of got a bass, and you take like a six string, like a little Ibanez.
Yeah.
Then you turn that into an Ibanez bass, and you're like, oh my God, this thing is huge. So it all started from there, and then I had that same obsession again once I started learning bass. When I was those first 6 months, I was either at work, or if I was at home, I was playing bass until I fell asleep.
Gotcha. So as far as the bass part goes, then you're pretty much self-taught?
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. And you mentioned Archspire. You've been playing bass. The band itself started in around 2007. You came on board around 2016, if I'm not mistaken?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been like fall 2015, I think. And then we were writing that whole year. And August the following year, the 2016, we went and recorded Relentless Mutation. And then that came out a year later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys had a recent release, Bleed the Future.
The single.
Oh, it's a single.
We had the Bleed the Future will come out. The album will come out at the end of October.
I'm ahead of my time.
Yeah. Soon.
Okay. And it falls kind of within this is an interesting category. They kind of have you guys technical death metal.
Yes. Yeah.
Which it's always tricky with genres because there can be such a blending. My first impression was to say prog, but that is so wide encompassing that a lot of people argue, well, what I do is prog. And they're like, no, what I do is prog. But as I'm listening, and I've had the great virtue, I guess I am a fortunate, lucky person that I've already been listening to Bleed the Future. Ahead of everybody else, so I've previewed. I know what's kind of coming, and I think the description of the technical death metal is highly applicable. It is super impressive from multiple points of view. And this is again the old fogey in me, I guess. I relate. I feel that there's classical influences in this.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the music. Tell us about Bleed the Future.
We really, I think as a band, with Relentless Mutation, we really established a really new sound for ourselves as the band, and really came together and wrote good songs. And that has been something we always keep in mind when we're writing this stuff. In the genre, sometimes that gets lost, for the technical side of the music, right? It can get easily buried in a million notes, and you can finish a song and be like, I don't remember any of that. right? So that is something that we really established on Relentless Mutation, and I think turned out great. And when it came to writing Bleed the Future, we wanted to keep that in mind and say, okay, we set the bar here, and can we do that and more? Can we make it faster? Can we make it more extreme? And can we make the catchy parts even catchier? Mm-hmm. And so that was sort of the goal when we were in the early stages of writing this album. And there is definitely like a huge classical influence on the band for sure. I mean, there's definitely some Mozart. I don't know if you heard the Mozart in there, but there's some more from the Final Symphony. I forget the name of it right now. But we had like the Confitatus on Relentless Mutation, and so we took another piece from that same symphony as just really an homage to that. Mm-hmm. And then Dean's a big Bach nerd, and I love learning Bach as well. So the classical influence is definitely there. You're not wrong.
I myself pick up more on the Bach. But again, I'm a huge Bach fan, and I think because of the Renaissance style of so much precision in the music, that Bach is fitting. Now, in a kind of a nutshell, in a description, it's almost like Bach meets a Sea-Whiz machine gun, because there is I don't know what's the time signature on this stuff. I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what the slowest one is. Probably around like eighth note, like 330 would be like the slowest. Like, I forget what the slowest ones.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think the fastest one on the last album was there's like one section where we went to 375 eighth notes, and I mean that felt fast. And on this album we actually did 400.
Oh wow! So. Well, again, your drummer sounds more like a machine gun than a human, and I'm kind of going. I mean, just like, how is this possible? Yeah. And not to mention, how do you play bass? How do you create a bass line for this kind of stuff?
Yeah, it can be challenging because there's so much going on, and they're both playing 8-string guitars, so there's a lot of times where they're right down in my kind of frequency range, so it can be hard to find like a space. Mm-hmm. But then there's the blast beats, and blast beats are going 16th notes, and I try and like rhythmically match the drums and like find a melodic place with the guitars.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works.
Yeah. Well, and so many bass players have told me, and again, across genres, that they tie in so intrinsically with the bass drum or particular, mark on a snare or something. Sure, but as I'm listening to this, I'm kind of going, oh, where do you lock on?
Yeah. Snare, like I'm usually going for the snare. Like if he's doing like a gravity blast, it's like the triplet 16th. Mm-hmm. I'll try and match that. And then if he's doing like a straight 16th, then there's that. But there's definitely not like the classic bass player be like, okay, so I'm going to start my attack on the kick and then I'll end my note on the snare, right? There's none of that.
No, it is massively impressive. And with that, have you drawn any inspiration from other players to create your lines for this kind of music, because it is so unique?
Yeah, there are other players in the genre that are sort of my favorite would be like Forrest Lapointe from Quebec. He's playing in a band called First Fragment right now. He's a fretless guy, 6-string. I think he writes some of the coolest fretless, and I think he's like the best fretless player in metal. He's awesome. And then there's Erland Casperson, who's playing in a band called Igor right now, but he used to play in Spawn of Possession, which was a huge influence on Archspire for extreme music. And like somewhere in there is like his like insane technique on a bass, and then the fretless kind of really cool lines. Like both of them are such a huge influence that if I'm kind of stuck, I'm like, okay, how would they what would they do maybe? And I kind of try and come up with that, and it can help.
It is certainly working. And since we're talking about sound, we should probably talk a little bit about how you're getting your sound. Now, sure. I've seen you playing a good Canadian bass, a Dingwall.
I've recently joined the Dingwall family, yeah.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about your gear.
So I've got 2 Dingwalls. I've got the Dingwall Z3 That's my custom with the burl maple top and triple pickup. Do you want to see it? Should I show it off if I've got it? Yeah.
Go for it.
Get it around the cables here.
Oh, wow.
So this is my main bass now.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's got the Dark Glass preamp in there, and it is, it's just the perfect sounding bass for what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I played my first one a few years back. I was teaching on tour, and I had a student bring one in the van, and like just playing one in the van was like, whoa, because the whole you hit the B, like the whole thing, like
yeah,
it's like a really incredible bass and a really incredible instrument to play. If you've never played one, I highly recommend you try one out. And it's really got that sound for metal, like modern bass. I think it just is the Dingwall sound.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and I'm seeing a lot in the prog world. A lot of players are going to the fanfret system.
Yeah.
And Dingwall, and
they do it best. I've played a few other fanfret ones, and like there's always something weird about it, or like you rest your thumb on the pickup, and the pickup doesn't feel good because it's just got the corner, and the Dingwalls are sort of rounded, so it feels like you've got like this nice big playing surface that doesn't feel kind of weird.
Gotcha. Well, and a lot are going headless too, because that's kind of the newer thing.
Yeah, I like a headstock.
Gotcha.
I like a headstock, but I like functionally, it's like, okay, if I'm flying a lot, it's nice to have a headless one, and the balance on a headless bass is like it's really nice. You know, there's nothing kind of pulling it down at all.
There's no deck dive.
Yeah, but I like a headstock.
There you go.
It looks cool. You know, it makes the bass look big, and like there's like art in the headstock. Mm-hmm. Every company's unique. I think it's important.
There you go. Well, hey, that's all that matters is what you're looking for with it. Now, you mentioned Dark Glass electronics on board. What other elements of your gear are helping give you your sound?
I use their hyperluminal compressor and the X7, their multiband distortion, and I run that into their M900 head, and I really like the combination of the three. But even just the compressor in the X7 is. It's like it's the perfect distortion pedal. Again, you can get exactly what you want, like really shape your sound. So I've been really happy with that.
Gotcha.
And I think for tracking, Bleed the Future, we use the Neural DSP Parallax plugin, which is essentially the X7 pedal, like a multi-band distortion plugin, and it sounded awesome.
Very cool. And have you had a chance to play with their Atom yet?
I have not tried the Atom yet. I'm very interested in the Atom, but I haven't tried one yet. We didn't have an Atom this year, so maybe next year. We'll see.
Well, they're shooting for next summer, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I've never done a summer NAMM. It's always the winter NAMM.
Well, they're going to do summer NAMM, but in Anaheim, so it will be hopefully they're shooting for the size of a winter show, but in Anaheim. So we'll see what happens there.
Summer in California. Ooh.
I know. So as your shoes melt on the concrete as you walk in. Yeah. But digressing, coming back to gear, do you have a preference in strings?
Dingwall make their strings. They've got a fan fret, like really nice gauges. I really like them.
Nice.
Yeah, they've got really nice bright. They last. Yeah.
Very cool. And are there any other elements of your gear equipment that help you get your iconic sound?
That's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple setup. I'm not like a big pedal board guy anymore for this style. It's
sure.
Like, I used to use a big pedal board on guitar, and then you start to notice that like every pedal you use kind of sucks something out of your tone, and then you plug straight into an amp, and you're like, sounds great.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it as simple as possible, and a distortion pedal, a compressor. We're good.
There you go. Yeah. Well, and looking ahead, I know that we're kind of on the. I challenge myself because I say we're on the tail end of the pandemic, and then we get another surge. So, a lot of things are up in the air, but plans for the future. I guess again, Bleed the Future will be releasing in October.
Yep.
What plans do you guys have along with that?
Right now we are working on some tours for next year. So we've got some plans, nothing announced yet. So hopefully, it's fingers crossed at this point. I think we're kind of planning a North American tour for next year and a European one as well. And again, it's been sort of you try. I've been like trying not to get too excited.
Sure.
Because you just everything just kind of it's so up in the air. Nobody knows what it's going to be like in a month. It'll be fine right now, and in a month, who knows?
Totally. And that has been for a lot of musicians. It's hard to make plans because the truth changes. And we've seen a lot of early people that started announcing tours, and the next thing you know, they were canceling dates. And so you're kind of like, it's really kind of challenging. Yeah.
Booking Europe, it's an expensive. That's a lot of flights to have a tour canceled.
Totally. So, well, the logistics alone of everything that has to happen. I mean, it's hard enough when there's no pandemic.
Yeah, it is. It is. You just everything goes right. You can make it work, but if there's this added risk, they could just shut everything down out of nowhere. Well,
forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, and if people want to stay, because of the uncertainties, if people want to stay on top, where's the best place for them to find out what Archspire's up to?
You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Archspire Official. You can follow me on Instagram at JarShred. We're always posting what we're up to there, all their new videos and teasers and sneak peeks and merch and everything. That's where we post it all and advertise it all if you want to support.
And you guys are on Bandcamp too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe we're probably on Bandcamp, and you can stream us on any major streaming service as well. We are there. And I guess I forgot to mention we do have our album release show in Vancouver.
Nice.
It actually just sold out the other day.
Wow.
So we've sold out our Vancouver CD release show, which is very exciting. So again, fingers crossed that everything holds out here in Vancouver for indoor events.
There you go. Well, Jared, we appreciate you taking time to talk to us and share your journey and about the music, and we're excited. I'll tell people I've had the good fortune of hearing Bleed the Future already, but write it down, check it out when it's available. As we've mentioned, the streaming, obviously you can't go to the CD release party anymore because it's sold out, but that's good. Great. Well, you've all seen him, Jared Smith, coming to you live on Bass Musician Magazine.
Thanks, guys.